April 2003. The desert heat was heavy, with the suffocating scent of gunpowder and scorched earth. The US-led coalition invasion of Iraq had reached its fever pitch. From the heavens, sophisticated Tomahawk missiles streaked across the sky, accompanied by the deafening roar of fighter jets. On the ground, the once majestic streets of Baghdad, a city that stood as a symbol of historical glory, were being crushed under the weight of M1 Abrams tanks. As the world watched the televised destruction, most assumed that Saddam Hussein had either been killed in the initial bombardment or captured. But then, an unbelievable event unfolded. While his palatial monuments crumbled and his government vanished like a house of cards, Saddam himself seemed to dissolve into thin air. Thus began one of the most mysterious and intensive manhunts in modern history. Saddam Hussein was a man whose very shadow once paralyzed the Middle East, a name that made his enemies tremble and left world leaders baffled by his political enigmas. For 24 years, from 1979 to 2003, Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq with an iron fist. Paradoxically, during the 1980s, in the midst of the bloody Iran-Iraq war, Saddam appeared on the world stage as a close ally of the United States. However, in the theater of global politics, alliances are often written in shifting sands. As interests diverged, the former ally transformed into America's most formidable foe. His reign was a study in contradictions. On one hand, Iraq saw significant modernization in infrastructure, education, and industry. On the other, it witnessed relentless bloodshed and catastrophic warfare. He was the architect of the war against Iran, yet he earned international condemnation for his ill-fated invasion of Kuwait in 1990. The mountain of allegations against him was staggering. There were reports of horrific genocide against the Kurdish population in northern Iraq using chemical weapons, the disappearance of thousands of dissidents, and, most crucially, the secret stockpiling of weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs. Although the existence of these weapons would later remain unproven, in 2003, these claims served as the primary justification for the United States to launch Operation Iraqi Freedom. President George W. Bush declared that removing Saddam was essential for global security. What followed was the most expensive and technologically advanced manhunt ever conducted, utilizing local spies, deep cover intelligence, and satellite surveillance to track a man hiding in one of the most dangerous places on Earth. For 9 long months, nearly 270 days, Saddam Hussein remained a ghost. Despite a multi-million-dollar bounty on his head and thousands of soldiers scouring the country, there was no trace of him. The global media was rife with speculation. Some claimed he had fled to Syria, others suggested he had vanished via a Russian submarine, while some believed he was hiding in a high-tech underground bunker that even American bunker-buster missiles could not penetrate. Even his most loyal bodyguards, captured by US forces, remained silent about the whereabouts of their former leader. US intelligence, however, did not lose hope. They operated on a fundamental psychological truth. When in ultimate peril, a person usually returns to their roots. The focus shifted to Tikrit, Saddam's birthplace. The military had even created a specialized deck of cards featuring the most wanted Iraqi fugitives. Saddam was the ace of spades. On December 13, 2003, a Saturday evening, the search led them to Ad-Dawr, a small, quiet village just 15 kilometers from Tikrit. Approximately 600 soldiers, supported by elite special forces, drones, and helicopters, cordoned off the area. They searched every farmhouse, every orchard, and every palm grove. As the night grew darker, a soldier noticed something unusual, a patch of debris and a thin, inconspicuous lid on the ground beneath a date palm. Upon lifting the cover, they discovered a narrow, dark shaft, later infamously known as the spider hole. It was a cramped, concrete-lined pit only 6 feet deep and barely 4 feet wide, equipped with a small pipe for ventilation. A soldier peered into the darkness and shouted, "Come out!" After a moment of chilling silence, a deep, raspy voice echoed from within. "I am Saddam Hussein. I am the president of Iraq, and I want to negotiate." When the soldiers pulled him out, the sight was jarring. The man who once sat on gold-plated thrones was now a disheveled figure, with matted hair and an unkempt beard covered in dust. He was found with 2 AK-47 rifles, a pistol, and a suitcase containing $750,000 in cash. Remarkably, despite being armed, the once fearsome dictator offered no resistance and did not fire a single shot. The news of his capture electrified the world. President Bush famously announced from the White House, "We got him." Saddam was moved to a secure military facility where DNA tests confirmed his identity. A famous video emerged during this time, showing a doctor shining a light into Saddam's mouth to check his teeth, a humbling moment for a man who once held absolute power. A lengthy legal battle followed. In 2006, he was found guilty of the 1982 massacre of 148 Shia Muslims in the village of Dujail. Throughout the trial, Saddam remained stoic and defiant, seemingly aware that his long struggle had finally reached its end. On December 30, 2006, as Muslims around the world prepared for the holy festival of Eid al-Adha, Saddam Hussein was led to the gallows at a military installation in Baghdad. Even at the threshold of death, he remained calm, refusing a hood and reciting the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. A leaked mobile phone video of the execution later sparked global controversy. It showed guards taunting him in his final moments, yet Saddam remained unshaken, his last words being, "Allahu Akbar. God is great." The death of Saddam Hussein marked the end of an era for Iraq, but the debate surrounding his legacy is far from over. Did his fall bring the promised peace and democracy, or did foreign intervention plunge the nation into a vacuum of chaos, civil war, and extremism? The weapons of mass destruction which served as the catalyst for the invasion were never found. This leads many to wonder, was the war truly about global security, or was it a cold, calculated game of geopolitics? Whether Saddam Hussein was a ruthless tyrant who deserved his fate, or a courageous nationalist leader, remains a question for history to judge. However, his journey from the golden palaces of Baghdad to a dark hole in the ground, and finally to the gallows, remains one of the most haunting tragedies in the annals of modern politics. What is your perspective? Was this a triumph of justice or a manifestation of political vengeance? Share your thoughts in the comments below.